Hey guys, this is Thomas, drummer of Meshuggah, and you are watching Loudwire.
Now, it took 4 years for this album to come out, which is not atypical for Meshuggah. Typically
Right.
around 3 to 4 years. Why does it take so long for these albums to come out? Everything is incredibly complex. How long do you spend writing the album?
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes like usually at least a year to write an album. And if you look at like the touring cycle for Colossus, the previous album, you do at least like 2 years of touring, and then you do maybe a bunch of festivals and stuff. So 2.5, 3 years
And
of
before you know
touring
it, it's
for and we're one of those bands that we could never write like on a tour bus or in hotel rooms or stuff like that. I don't think one single riff that ended up on a Meshuggah album was ever written.
on tour.
Yeah, so we really need that kind of downtime and kind of a timeout. Like no, we have nothing. We're not doing anything.
Compartmentalize
Yeah,
everything.
and it seems to all of us in the band are kind of we function the same way, and we're really sensitive to even if like there's a show coming up like 3 months from now. That's like a big like black cloud hovering above us if we're trying to write.
So
Like
it shuts
it's
down the
really,
writing
yeah.
process.
So we really kind of need that focus and to kind of really get into writing mode. Yeah.
Now, when you're writing the lyrics, do you also write the phrasing and the patterns, or do you give them to Jens and then he comes up with his own patterns for everything?
No, usually I'll do the phrasing and like add the lyrics and in the demo stage, so to speak. I mean, that's all computer and all programmed drums. That's how we write music. So once you have like the song doesn't even have to be finished like structural wise and exactly what riffs are you going to use and so on. But fairly early on, I try to get lyrics on there because that's also an important aspect. The way I see to kind of what route is the song going to take? Like where is it going? And that's also to some degree kind of steered by where you decide to put vocals and what kind of vocals and how you're going to use those. So rhythmically and phrasing wise, I usually I try to do that fairly early on in the writing process, and I basically just use an old little bullet mic. It's like super distorted, so I just have to basically whisper, and it sounds like someone screaming their lungs out, kind of. So that's also an aspect that is kind of important because that also adds another layer of like how is this actually going to sound by the time it's done with Jens's vocals on it and everything. So it gives you a clearer idea at least of you're in the ballpark of what it's going to sound like once it's done. So yeah, you
So-
use the tools you have and the tools at hand. Try to make the best out of it.
When you write for Meshuggah, I'm just so intrigued by the process because everything is so incredibly complex. It's kind of like, where do you even start? Now, do you do anything like the whole band taking a groove and then deconstructing it from there and breaking it up into the different time signatures for everybody, or
Not
how does
really.
everything begin?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess, for a lot of people. We never jam as a band. We never go to the rehearsal space like several of us and just mess around.
Play together, get a
Yeah, we
feel.
haven't done that in 15 years at least. So basically, it will be an idea like from a guitar from one just that someone has up here, and we all kind of know how to program drums and
Yeah, you've
we
got
use
drum kit from
Cubase and we
Hell.
know how to record and everything. So yeah, using the Tune Track products, drum kit from Hell, and stuff like that, and so sometimes that's kind of the starting point. And whoever like comes up with that idea, say it's a song by Morten, and then he will just sit by himself, like separately. He doesn't even live in Stockholm, so he will whatever he's got going, he will do all.
He'll
all
flesh
of
it out himself.
Yeah, he'll kind of do that himself, and he'll write a ton of riffs. And sometimes, like on this album, we would work together, me and him, and like finishing up, making them complete songs, and kind of figuring out the structures of the songs and stuff like that. Sometimes it comes completely kind of from a drummer's like rhythmical perspective where I will like mess around on the kit and then I find something like, yeah, this is
Sounds like it could
awesome
be something,
sounding.
yeah.
This sounds like this could be something cool. then I kind of immediately leave the drum set and I just take that to the computer world, what it's like fresh. Sometimes I will just record it on the phone or something, and then I'll just start programming it. Because a lot of the times with one of those things that's inherent in our music, a lot of times it's you have a 4/4 like a straight beat going, but then you kind of do odd cycles that kind of travel over the bar line and things like that. And so with that kind of music, it's really hard for your mind to kind of take those
Separate.
things to their length because it's not necessarily something that's just natural. This is how it flows and this is how it's going to be. So you kind of need to take it to the computer room. And there you can kind of mess around with it and kind of see where you can take this.
So you experiment there on the computer, and now do you listen back to those parts with the album as far as you learning the actual drum parts?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Then like once you then like sit down and really write riffs for all this and it becomes a song, then first of all, like if there's any kind of cycle thinking when you're kind of messing around on the kit and you maybe initially I would know like there's a 15th note segment like that repeats. That might be in my mind right as I start programming, but then it just slowly, that's not important. And what you listen to is just like whole parts. So you learn the whole part. So you don't think they're reiterations of cycles.
Yeah.
You just hear it as a whole piece, like this verse, here's the next part, here's the next part.
So here's the beginning, it balloons
Yeah,
out, comes
yeah.
back, there's the next part, balloons back
Yeah,
out. And
kind of.
everything.
When we recorded an album, but like once you're done with those songs, you just have to listen. You just listen and listen and listen and listen, and that's kind of till you hear it as one long piece of music rather than all the little things and all the little snippets that are kind of repeated or whatever. You kind of try to lose track of that completely, so you would get more of a flow in the music and approach it when you play it live. You approach it more like any rock song, more than the weirdness of it.